Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden, and yes, I am back. I took a little bit of a break and there are two different reasons for it. The first one is generally in summer I don't really do a lot in the garden. Actually, I did prepare 3 videos and hands down I was too lazy to edit them. So at one point, very randomly and completely out of season, I'm gonna throw 3 videos at you. And the second reason is that I was for 3 days in Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, for a holiday. Beautiful, by the way. Absolutely a great, wonderful city. I fulfilled one of my big dreams, which was a balloon ride. So just in case, if you haven't seen it on my Instagram, I shared everything in my story highlights. So I'm going to give you the link to my Instagram just down below here. So you can just click on it, go to my story highlights, and you can even see the balloon ride. It was wonderful. But I came back from Vilnius with a very special souvenir, which was called Corona. And yeah, even though I'm fully vaccinated and everything, it kind of hit me a little bit and I lay flat for a good while. I'm still coughing, but in general, I feel good. I feel good, I'm healthy and happy and good. And I'm ready to continue doing garden videos with you. And I'm really thrilled about it because you can see in my back, you can see I'm wearing a winter jacket. We are in my favorite time of the year, which is autumn. And since I haven't shared a lot of the garden recently with you, what I want to do in today's video is just tour you around a little bit. I don't have anybody to film me today, which means that most of the time throughout this video, you will see me just like showing you things. You will hear my voice, you will see my finger maybe pointing at something, but you won't see a lot of me eventually. But still, I think it is just nice to give you a little bit of an update to it and show you how things are progressing in here, especially since all of those videos that I did with you earlier on in the year were kind of preparation for what happens now and how things are looking now, and things changed and we're really in this beautiful moment of autumn. The asters are just about coming to bloom and the garden fills with autumnal color, and I think this is just wonderful. And speaking of autumnal color, this is already what I want to focus on in my coming videos. I want to break it down into a couple of shorter videos. And I just want to share with you how you can introduce autumnal color or generally interest into your own garden. I was at the garden center, I found some really beautiful things here, and I'm very thrilled to do some planting videos with you. But before that happens, I just want to tour you around in today's video. So I hope you are excited that I'm back in my garden together with you. Alfie's gonna join us in the garden today, obviously, as well. And guess what? This is also her favorite time of the year. You saw she dropped something, which was a walnut, and next to that, it's a pear. I really had a lot of pears here. It was a great year for apples and pears, and she loves the pears just as much as I do. So first thing in the morning, I always went out and quickly collected those that came on the ground. But what I want to do is start here in the midsection of the garden and look at this beautiful weather, clear blue skies. Wonderful to tour you around and show you a little bit on how things are looking. Here in the island bed there are 2 fully grown walnut trees, and it is that time of the year when all the walnuts start to come down. So I'm just trying to find one. Yeah, there is one. I was already collecting them in the morning, but here you go. Here are our walnuts. Really nice, good, decent size. So I think this is a good year in general for any kind of fruit or vegetable. The walnuts definitely look fantastic. There are leaves on the ground and I need to mow it, but I still gonna wait for 2-3 days for it. What I want to show you is this side of the garden. This is a partly shaded area and I love it. I think especially at this time of the year, it really comes to life. It's filled with beauty. So in the front, there is a blue spruce that I always cut to make sure that it stays on the smaller size here. And I think it is a nice tapestry of color because I have the blue spruce, so there is an accent of blue grayish tone in there. And then the same color world is reflected by these asters. They are light violet, a very beautiful color. I think an amazing growing habit because they grow kind of like nice and dome shaped almost. This is a variety called aster astron, and that is my good old faithful for any difficult situation in the garden because it thrives in full sun, and as you can tell here, it thrives even better in partly shade. And this time of the year, it's almost like dapple shade, and still they are fantastic. They don't require additional watering. They are generally just very happy campers. Then obviously my hydrangea paniculatas, and these are varieties that I really enjoy just by the way on how they're aging. So the fresh blooms, they are in this kind of jade green color. They're not crisp white, which I actually really love because I think it's just a nice and subtle way on how the color goes with all the green foliage. But then as it ages, you can tell it kind of fades away into a lovely blush tone. It's not one of these like bright pink that shines. No, it is just a really nice delicate color, and then in combination, and this is something to look forward to for the next years to come. You might remember earlier on in the year I removed an elder shrub here and I planted a cercis or red bud, and it looks quite good actually. It's still very small obviously. This is a variety called Merlot, but it has really nice dark foliage. In the back there is a cotinus which just starts to color up with its autumnal color. So I think it's just a really beautiful combination to have these like dark foliages from the two shrubs here, to have this very whimsical fairy-esque kind of feeling with all the grasses. They're just self-seeding. Honestly, I don't really do a lot. Most of what happens here, this is what they did on their own, and I think it is just beautiful. Then to have these like blush tones here from the aging hydrangeas in combination with a jade green with these really wonderful asters, and then there are a lot of different common names for it. I know it as fairy candle. I think wherever you live, you might know it under a different name. I think they're fantastic. This is an amazing plant. It is a perennial that creates height into your party shade or shaded area of the garden. I wanted to buy more of them this year because 2 fizzled out over the years, and I'm definitely having gaps in here where I'm missing them, but the garden center doesn't carry them this year. I went to 3 different garden centers and I was not successful, so maybe something to look forward to plant in springtime to come. Here comes the sun. Beautiful. And then one of my other favorite perennials for this area of the garden is turtlehead. I showed it to you last year already. This is a variety called Hot Lips. Flowers already for ages. I think it started in end of July and now we're in October. So it doesn't produce like a lot and a lot of blooms at once. It's kind of just like very gracefully and gently, that is the word I was looking for. It produces more flowers and it has these spikes, but you constantly have these beautiful blobs of pink in here, and isn't it a nice combination with these asters? Another really beautiful focal point for the midsection of the garden is the grass here. This is Japanese bloodgrass, and it starts to fade away a little bit, so you can tell just by the tips that it starts to bronze a little bit. So we are definitely going into autumn, but still when the afternoon sun comes here, this is such a wonderful focal point because it really reflects the light. It is like ruby red in the border, and whatever I'm going to do in the back there to create new borders in the garden, I'm so going to incorporate more of the Japanese bloodgrass because I absolutely love it. So if we continue walking, you see that I am actually a little bit of a lazy gardener in a way, because for example the nappider, the catmint, I don't cut it back. I leave the stems. I still like it when there is this mixture of like these spent flowers and then the new ones are appearing, because even when the sun comes, it is a nice grayish color and texture that I do enjoy. I know a lot of people would always say cut it back after it flowered for the first time because then it's going to come back with more growth, which it does, but I like it as it is. To be fair, I think it is just really beautiful. So moving now to the back of the garden, the new perennial border. This really comes to life now. As you can see, it is just an autumnal part of the garden. There is a bistorta. This is a variety called JS Kalo, beautiful cherry red. I think it's just a nice texture as well, because you have these really beautiful elongated leaves. They are almost like green big pillows in your borders, and then you have these cherry red flower spikes. So wonderful. Then the aconitum, I hope I pronounce it right, very poisonous. This is why I put it in the midsection of the border, so whenever somebody might visit, somebody cannot like touch it easily because it is so poisonous. But it's a glorious color and I don't want to miss it, especially in the back there. With the last bit of my phlox, this is a variety called Goliath, very tall, way taller to what it is supposed to grow actually. And again, it was flowering for more than 2 months, and then in the back there, miscanthus grass and calamagrostis grass in a big drift. You can also see on why I put the helenium in the mid of the border, because they are nice when they flower, but they kind of just like go into their brown stage, most of them. Some still look a little bit greenish. But I thought, okay, you cannot have that in the front of the border because then you have the ugliness in the front of the border and that is not nice. So I thought, put it in the middle of the border and then put some asters in front of it. So visually from the distance, that brown blob kind of disappears a little bit. In general, I am struggling with Helenium, mainly because of the color in a way. It is very rusty red, where I was like, I'm not so sure about that. And obviously because it is so brown, but I think I kind of managed quite well to hide it in here. If we look into this direction, this is one of my favorite vistas now, because you can tell that it kind of melts into the new herbaceous border in the back there. There are more asters, then there are more beautiful asters coming to bloom here in the mid of the border. This is a variety called Schöne von Dietlikon, one of my absolute favorite ones because it will be an ocean of beautiful purple very soon. They're very healthy, they don't lose the leaves at the base of the plant, they don't lay flat, so definitely an aster that you might want to have in your own garden as well. Then more of the Bistorta, and then another smaller variety of miscanthus. And let me tell you this, in the afternoon the sun comes from the back of that miscanthus and it almost feels like a little fairy firework in the border because it is really shining crisp white. It's a beautiful sight, so also trying to incorporate smaller varieties of miscanthus is definitely worth it. Here, this is the new herbaceous border. So you might remember in March time, I went in here with you, I removed the turf, I put the stone edging in, I improved the soil, I mulched it, planted everything up, and this is how it looks now in the first year. And I think I couldn't be happier, honestly. I don't think I could possibly ask for more. Things are looking fantastic, especially at the front here, the Panacetum grass, beautiful. I really love the growing habit of most of the Panacetums. And then when the flowers come to bloom, again, very whimsical. In the back there, more of the same aster varieties. So there's Schöne von Dietlikon, there is Aster astron, and here is more Bistorta JS Kalo. Something that I do, I really have my focal plants here in the back of a garden that I repeat to have a nice drift, to have a nice tapestry. Here is my amaranth that I was sowing earlier on in the year with you. The last couple of winds hit it hard and it starts to lay flat a little bit. But I kind of leave it as it is right now. It grew a lot taller to what it was supposed to grow. I think the label said a max height of maybe 1 meter. And this, some of those plants are like 1.60 meters at least. But what I love even more is the grass in the back there. Again, it grew taller to what the label said. This is Panacetum vertigo, one of the proven winners plants that I introduced to the garden. First time ever. Very happy with that. And if I just step back a little bit, I think what works so nice about having these like dark grasses or the complete red amaranth in this border is to have a focal point, because again, I always say that you are always surrounded by a lot of greenery, even though obviously you have your flowers, you have your blooms, you have the grasses now they're in a nice beige tone, but still to have like these like dark red, almost blackish accents is a nice focal point, especially in the back of a garden, so your eye has somewhere where it can rest. Then next to it, there are castor beans or echinus. They really grow to a nice size. They came to bloom. I mainly planted it because of these big tropical leaves and the blooms. I'm very happy with them, by the way. That was the first time I ever tried them out, so that was very, very pleasing. If we continue here walking to the compost tea, but it's just a repetition of the same plants again. So there is sedum. This is a variety called Herbstfreude, an old German variety. Very beautiful. Some plants were hit by mildew this year, unfortunately. Some of my sedums are suffering from it this year, but you know what? Every year has a different surprise. All of the other plants look fantastic though, especially the amaranth here, even though, yeah, it lays flat a little bit. Another aster that I want to show you, I don't know the name unfortunately, because this is one of those incidences where I went to the garden center, I asked for a purple aster, this is what they gave me in springtime, and this is what I received. And I think I bought it at least 9 years ago. And out of one plant, I could divide it so many times that I have drifts of this aster. It's very tall. It's probably 1.50 meters to 1.60 meters in height, and a very intriguing color. It flowers very long as well, all the way into late October into November definitely. So I think just a wonderful addition here, something in between purple and red, and definitely ties back the color palette that I have going on here. So I really try to walk around and give you all these different vistas into the garden, because now it really starts to work how I envision it, to have a tapestry and a repetition of the color. Over there you see that I start working a little bit, because what I do is I start painting some fence sections because I want to hide what is going on there. I try to plant some grasses underneath the plum tree that I grow there, but the problem is that the tree takes so much energy and water apparently that those grasses, those miscanthus grasses, they all fizzled out. And I've had it. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to look into the car workshop constantly, so I'm just going to put some black fence sections there as a nice backdrop and just hide it, and then maybe plant something beautiful up front there. There you see something really nice glowing orange, which I'm not going to show you because this is going to be one of my planting videos. What else I can show you here in the back of a garden is another experiment that I started from seed. This is, I hope you can see it. Here it is. This is hibiscus mahogany splendor, and it was not happy in my garden. Out of 10 seedlings, I think 3 kind of survived. They're very spindly. I think they just need more heat and a different climate. I really put it down on that. So that was an experiment. This is something what I might be like, if you are in a hotter climate, try it. I think they will be beautiful. I'm not going to try it again. I'm definitely going to focus on some other plants. But before we go onto the slope on the back of a garden, I just want to give you this look here. Isn't that just fantastic? I absolutely love it, especially from this angle when you can't really see lawn anymore, when it's just an ocean of perennials and grasses and just beautiful. We are still in the morning. I think it's around 10 a.m. right now. So the sun is really beautiful here, and Alfie is also very happy munching on something. That was it with the back of a garden, the midsection and the back section of the garden. I skipped the front garden for today because not a lot is happening there, to be honest. Maybe if I do like an entire garden tour video, then obviously I'm going to show you that part as well. But I don't want to miss the real back part of the garden, which is the slope. So you know that I was working a lot in this area with you earlier on in the year. So obviously I want to show you my vegetable garden, how things are looking there, because I'm still harvesting and some of the things are still looking really fantastic. And obviously I want to show you my cut flower garden, where, to be fair, I haven't cut a single flower from that part this year because it is really now an extension of the garden and I love it so much and I don't want to miss and lose a single bloom in there. So my entire idea of having a cut flower garden kind of went straight out of the window because I just can't go in here and cut a flower. I don't know what's wrong with me, but still I love this part of the garden, and the vision that I had in my head really starts coming to life. So I'm really excited to show you those 2 areas of the garden. Just in case, if you never saw how I entered the slope, so this is the back of a garden, there is a little gate and I'm just standing underneath my wonderful big pear tree where I harvested a lot of beautiful fruit. They're all storing in the garden shed right now and just waiting that I start preserving them, because I can't possibly eat all of them right now because it'll be just too much. So here on the right side of the slope, there is my vegetable garden, and I'm going to start here showing you this side, but then I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek onto the other side of the slope. Isn't that fantastic? Oh, I love it. I told you earlier on in the year that I was aiming for jungle feeling, and I think I kind of accomplished it, at least as much as you can have jungle feeling at the south coast of the Baltic Sea. My bench, and they're really nestled in all this planting. Beautiful, can't wait to show you that area. But before that happens, I just quickly wanted to give you a tour in my vegetable garden. Here on the top layer are my raised beds, and you can tell there is a little miniature garden, some plants here that I planted and actually did a video, but I haven't edited yet. So I think I'm still gonna throw it at you what I planted here, because it really made me very happy and things are looking so cute in here. Some of my snapdragons are here that I was growing from seed very late again to have some more color. Those were really cheap snapdragons, I think even unlabeled, from the hardware store. And they are so pretty, aren't they? Autumnal, glorious colors. Here in the raised beds, things are looking fairly good, I would say. So the first one I cleared completely at one point, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, and then I started sowing new salad crops, and they are all looking amazing and ready to be harvested. So I've got some green salad here, brownish one, more green, then a dark red variety, and here is some cilantro. So in general, I think that is very nice, and I'm going to have more salad for the next couple months to come, at least up until we have frost. Here, the next raised bed full of chilies and bell peppers, plus one volunteer zinnia that I probably put in there as well. By the way, the neighbor's working in its car shop, so I'm sorry if you hear something on the audio. I'll just try and find a nice bell pepper now, because they start to ripen finally. Very late, but here you go. This is sweet chocolate, if I'm not wrong. Nice brownish color, good decent sized fruit. I already harvested one, so I was very happy with those. I think it is, or it was, a little bit too cool throughout the summer, here at least. I mean, we had some nice hot days, but in general, I think bell peppers just require hotter temperatures. But the chilies were happy. I just want to show you them. Look at them. A lot of green ones, but also some red ones in here. In the back there is more, so I harvested already some of them. I started drying them, so I know I'm still going to get more chilies. So that was definitely a success story. Last raised bed is the third one here. So, well, a third of it is empty. I cleared it already. And then I've got some carrots in here. So I'm just going to harvest my carrots bit by bit. Most of them are actually for Alfie, to be fair. I have some as well, though. But yeah, this is the last raised bed, and I'm not going to sow anything in here because you can see that the soil basically just sunk down a lot. So I need to fill it up with more soil at one point. What I want to do now is walk around with you onto the next layer, my vegetable garden, and I have a very weird way on how I access it at this point. I still need to think of something smarter, because this is a slope, and I'm going to show you in a second that the slope isn't terraces. So I enter the second layer here via my compost heap with some volunteer amaranth. Beautiful, isn't it? It kind of like came from last year. I was not sowing amaranth on the compost heap, clearly. So if I swing around, here you get to see how the slope works quite well. So I built these terraces here. So this is the first terrace where we just were. There are the 3 raised beds. This is my second terrace where I have all different mixed kind of vegetables. And my last terrace, this is where I have my pumpkin vines, and my shadow is here because the sun comes from the back. But you can tell the pumpkin vines are looking fantastic. They've grown to such an amazing size. You might see some orange blobs in there. So the Hokkaido pumpkins are looking cute. I already harvested 2. And then there is, can you see it? A big pumpkin. This is Blue Doll. In total, I have, I think, 5 of them. I counted. I was once in this jungle, and I'm excited. So Baby Boo and Muscate Provence didn't come at all, but at least the others are all looking fantastic. Here in the mid layer of the vegetable garden, I've got potatoes, and they're ready for harvest because you can tell all the top growth is brown now, which means the potatoes are ready. Nothing is going to happen under the soil anymore, so I can really come in here. I started harvesting the potatoes that I grew in pots though. Here I have all different kind of cabbages, and they've been smothered by something. Slugs and snails. My red cabbage, really not a happy camper. I have another one that looks a little bit better. Brussels sprouts over here look better though. Can you see tiny Brussels sprouts forming? So I'm very optimistic that this is gonna work though. I was harvesting cauliflower with you, and that was fantastic. And then here, onions. I grew the tiniest onions on planet. I really need to do some research for next year how to grow onions better, because that was not a success story. But what looks great is in the back here. I hope you can tell what it is. It is my leek. Very happy what it does so far. I'm still going to wait with the harvest, obviously, for another month or 2 probably, but then I can finally get in here and start harvesting these beauties. Then the next layer, this is where I had some broccoli. Mainly I had beets in here, color beets, red ones, yellow, striped ones, white ones, fantastic. Harvested so many, very happy with them. I'm going to do that next year again. Then I've got artichokes in the back there. They produce some nice fresh new leaves now. Swiss chard, that was amazing, is still amazing. I mean, I like Swiss chard, but 1 row is definitely enough because it produces a lot. Then don't try to fall down. Here is a jungle. So I have, you can tell maybe what it is or what it was. This is my fennel. So I haven't harvested all of them. Some were just shooting up, never harvested them. But then in the back there, this is where I have my sweet corn, harvested it. It was nice. I think I waited a week or two too long with the harvesting. So next year I definitely know better. And then the last thing that is here that I can still show you is the trellis that I built with you in winter time. It's a little wonky now, so once the beans are gone, I need to see how it looks, but you can tell still some blue beans around here, and I was harvesting like crazy already. So one shelf of the freezer is full with these beans, looking absolutely fantastic. So this is how things are looking here in the vegetable garden. Next stop is the other side of the slope. I'm standing with you now exactly on the opposite side of the slope on the first layer, and if I just slowly swing around, you get to see how this jungle works here. Completely overgrown, but I love it. I kind of like that there is this element of madness here going on, but I think in general it is really beautiful. So clearly the dahlias are still blooming, really beautiful dark red variety in combination with a lot of blue here. So I've got Verbena bonariensis, I still get my petunias that are looking fantastic. Then I've got cannas here, mainly grow them really for the leaves, but even they are producing more blooms in red. Very happy with that. I did a little purchase there. I bought one of these storing boxes so that I can put some pillows in there for my bench that we're just approaching in a moment, so I can make it comfortable on my bench as well. Another aster. This is beautiful. New in my garden. This is a variety called Violetta. Very dark, beautiful purple color with this kind of like burnt caramel center. So very happy with those. I think a beautiful addition to the garden. More Riccinus here. They definitely look fantastic. Next to it, a miscanthus, but then definitely the scene stealer. This is how it goes. For this area of the garden is the grass here. So again, the same proven winners. This is Panacetum vertigo. And when I planted it, some of you said like, well, it's going to be a beast and you won't be able to sit on your bench. And to be fair, it is a little hard to get onto my bench now, but I can still sit here. And if I sit down with you now, okay, make it comfortable. I am literally sitting in the middle of the grass now, but in a weird way, I do enjoy it. I really think it is great. I think I'm not going to plant these so close to the bench next year though, so that was definitely a learning experience. But I love the grass and I'm so going to incorporate it into next year's planting again. So if we just continue walking here, the top layer, I don't want to show you too much because I already put some pots here for my coming planting videos, but the sedum here looks really beautiful. This is the same variety called Herbstfreude. And then Canicloa grasses, they are kind of just like spread out everywhere here. So I grow them in full sun in my climate zone, and this clearly works best for them. So Hacanicloa grass definitely enjoys full sun if you are in a zone 7B such as I am here. So my plan on trying to cover up the ugliness of this massive pole and concrete pillar with ivy starts to work out. So at one point this is just going to be nice and green filled with ivy. So if we continue walking now onto the slope, I can really show you how things are looking, especially here. I think this is really cute because I really wanted to have this momentum of exploring and not being able to see everything at once, and this is exactly what happens here. So you can hardly find the path anymore, walking through here and then just go around a corner and see what you will find there. So this is definitely one of those elements that I was very keen on trying out, and I think it is beautiful. Here you can tell that this was supposed to be my test ground for things that flower blue and peach. And there is some peach, there isn't a lot of blue, but what I can show you are my dahlias here because they are incredibly beautiful. Isn't that a stunning color? And it really, like the display shows it very well on how these colors are looking. They really remind me of popsicles. It is something in between yellow, orange and pink, and just an amazing color. Definitely going to buy more of this variety here. Then there are more cannas here down at the last layer. Not a lot is happening now. I will do some planting there with you though. And here the amaranth, this is a variety called Autumn Palette. It is interesting. I wouldn't call it palette though necessarily, because it said that it will be a blend of different colors. They're all the same, but I still enjoy them. I think they really fit extremely well into the season. Then Caryopteris, this is what I bought last year. 2 plants. I was skeptical if they make it through winter. Both of them did, and they come to bloom now, and I really love them. I wish I could find more of them in the garden centre this year, but I couldn't. Next, this is Crème de Cassis? No, Crème de Cognac, that is it. Crème de Cognac Dahlia. I don't think that I'm going to continue with that one though. It is a nice dahlia in general, but for me it is a little too vintage brownish in a way, and I kind of enjoy these like bright popsicle colors more compared to this one here. But then if we continue walking, I already started clearing the jungle a little bit, by the way. So I can walk here because the nasturtiums, they've kind of like grown everywhere. They're bonkers. So at least I can show you around a little bit. Here are more cannas, but unfortunately they did not bloom at all. Well, one did, and it bloomed orange. So I was like, ooh, but the leaves are still nice. But yeah, and it produces more bloom. So maybe I'm still gonna see more bloom. Maybe I can show you how they will come to bloom, because I think the orange one was a wrong one in the patch. More dahlias here. This is totally tangerine, if I'm not wrong. Again, another favorite of mine for this year. Beautiful color. Again, I think everything that sits in between this like pink, yellow and orange works really wonderful on dahlias. And then here is some salvia that I planted earlier on in spring with you. And isn't it just a wonderful sky blue color? Very delicate. They kind of lay flat a little bit. They are not so robust, but the color is nice. So I'm going to see how they perform next year. Maybe I need to do some staking there. But yeah, in general, I'm very happy with how the slope looks at this time of the year now. If I just swing around here, you really get to see all the beauty of the tapestry. And I'm so thrilled about these results. That's it for today's garden update tour. I was very eager to tour you around a little bit and just show you how things are looking before I continue planting. You might have realized now towards the end of the video that my voice is a little shaky and it's not quite there yet. So I'm gonna go inside, make myself a nice hot cup of tea now. But before I do so, I just want to say thank you so much for watching today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around with me. And also if you decide to click onto the subscribe button for my channel, that makes me very, very happy. So thank you so much for all of your support. And I'm really excited to welcome you back into my garden for some planting videos now. So take care guys. See you then. Bye.